Hello, and a very warm welcome to all of our Gold viewers who are here with us today. I'm Kristin Schwarz, licensed midwife and one of the MCs here at Gold. And today I'm with Dr. Hazel Keedle, and we're going to talk about her upcoming presentation in the Midwifery Conference here of 2024. But first, welcome, Hazel.
Thank you for having me here today. It's fantastic. And I'm so looking forward to the Gold Conference.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you so much for being here today. Your topic is a very important one. It's titled Beyond Supporting VBAC, How to Facilitate Vaginal Birth After Cesarean. Topic we definitely want to get into a little bit more. But first, let's talk about you. Where in the world are you, Hazel?
I'm in the beautiful Blue Mountains, which is just west of Sydney in Australia.
Absolutely love you. Now tell us a little bit about your background too. You are a senior lecturer of midwifery, right? So talk a bit about your work as well.
Sure. So I've got a varied background. I started off as a nurse in England, where I'm from, and then I moved to Australia over 20 years ago and did my midwifery here and worked in all different models of care and locations, including home birth and big tertiary hospitals as well. And then I moved into research and through doing a master's honours and then a PhD, and now work as a full-time senior lecturer at Western Sydney University, where I get to teach the future generation and do international and Australian research in midwifery.
So that must be fascinating. I always feel like whenever I hear the word research, that midwives are doing research, I can't even tell you how happy that makes me, because I feel like we have a lot to catch up on, right? A lot of research was done, on, OBGYNs and other, medical professionals. But the midwives, I feel like, we're a little bit lagging behind in research, and that's why we need to train the new generation and have people like you who are doing research. In fact, what are you working on right now?
So I am the lead investigator on the birth experience study, which was Australia's largest national maternity survey. It was live in 2021. We had nearly 9,000 women complete the survey. And now we're an international collaboration. And we have 13 countries across the world who are now using our survey. We're working together to find out and elevate women's experiences of maternity care in their own countries. And then we collect that together and we get a global view of what it's like for women to go through maternity care.
Well, that's absolutely exciting, Hazel. When will that be ready? You said when will that study be
We've already
concluded?
published on the birth experience study in Australia. We've published 5 papers to date, and we have more papers in publication. And our collaboration partners, they're in lots of different phases. So some are about to launch their surveys, such as Brazil and Sweden and Denmark and Taiwan, and then other countries are brand new and just starting to work on their surveys, such as Somaliland. So in the end, over the next few years, I can see a lot of papers and results coming out from those countries.
Oh, absolutely fascinating. What an exciting, area of research and a global perspective. I can't even wait to find out more. So once it's concluded, Hazel, you have to be back at Gold and report back to us here. In the papers or in the research that's already concluded there, is there anything that stood out to you that either surprised you or where you said, I kind of, we were knowing that was coming. So anything that surprised you there?
Well, we started off looking at some questions on birth trauma and also obstetric violence. And it was the first survey that's been done here in Australia that actually asked those questions about obstetric violence. So that was one of our first papers that we published, which was women's descriptions of what that meant to them and what that is from their perspective. And we did find that more than 1 in 10 women in our survey, which was, like I said, nearly 9,000 women, who said yes to experiencing obstetric violence. So that was really quite significant, surprising, and devastating at the same time. However, we did work with it's a co-design study, so we work with our maternity consumer organizations and groups, and through the work that they were doing and our paper, this has led to quite significant impact here in Australia, including a New South Wales, which is the state that I live in, government inquiry into birth trauma that includes obstetric violence. So it was devastating, but actually it's having a very big impact in educating and hopefully influencing policy to prevent that in the future.
Yeah, so devastating, yes, indeed. But now change can happen by you publish this, and it will hopefully trigger change and trigger change in practice and avoidance of that in the future, and bring to light if what has happened that doesn't go unpunished as well, in these
Absolutely.
areas. So
Yes.
yeah, thank you for the amazing work you're doing, and bringing this to light and helping so many women and families who've experienced that. Yeah. Thank you so much. You also have written a book, and you were also the author of an e-learning course. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I wrote the book straight after my PhD, which was on vaginal birth after cesarean. And I feel as researchers, we have a responsibility to not just, do the research on women's experiences, but actually then give back to that same community. So I really wanted to write the book for women who'd had a previous cesarean and then were thinking about what their birthing options were for their next birth. So that was a really fun experience, very different from writing academic papers and theses. But yes, it came out in 2021, and I've had some wonderful stories from women across the world who've actually found it to be really helpful. Also, straight after my PhD, I was invited by our Australian College of Midwives here in Australia to write an e-learning module for them based on the work that I've done for my PhD, and that is available on their learning platform, free for members and students, but also other non-members can access it. And that looks at how to support women planning a VBAC. That actually then led into doing workshops that I did myself, that I've kind of stopped, but I just did them for a couple of years, and leading towards a second book that I'm working on at the moment, which is based on how clinicians can support women having a better birth after cesarean.
Wow, beautiful. Can't wait for that. So you have to also come back and report back to us when you have that, and want to find out more about this as well. And now about your presentation, which is, of course, on the topic of VBAC, beyond supporting VBAC, how to facilitate vaginal birth after cesarean. So talk to us a little bit about what we can look forward to learning here.
Sure. So in my book, and through my PhD, I found that there were 4 factors that impacted how women felt after their birthing experience, regardless of whether that was a VBAC or a repeat cesarean. And so then I've taken those 4 factors that I go into detail in the book, and then looked at it from the clinician's point of view. So what can we do as clinicians to help support women to feel good and great after their birth after cesarean, and looking at the tricky things like what if the birth doesn't go to their original plans. So in the presentation, I'll explore in depth those 4 different factors from the clinician's point of view, so that clinicians can come away and think, okay, if I work on any of these 4 factors, or maybe even all of them, then they can increase the experience of satisfaction from women who are planning the next birth after cesarean. It often feels like a bit of a minefield. We think it's very, very complicated and high risk. And I'd break down the data as well, break down the risks, have a really good look at it, and then I think give the tools to clinicians to learn how to better support women.
How to better support women. That's absolutely fantastic. Can't wait for the presentation, Hazel, for sure. Now, Hazel, before I let you go, any last words for our viewers here with regards to the topic?
Absolutely. What women really remember is how they were treated by healthcare professionals. And women really, and birthing people, deserve to have the best team around them. So I want clinicians to think about how they can be the best team or coach for the woman and the birthing person, so they can have the best experience. And I want clinicians to know that they actually can be the best team member for that woman.
Beautiful. Thank you so very much, Dr. Hazel Keedle, for being here with me today, chatting about the amazing work you do, and of course, the presentation here for the Gold Midwifery Conference. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And now for our audience, if you found this extremely interesting, just like I did, and you want to find out more about this presentation and all the other presentations in the conference, we invite you to go to goldmidwifery.com. We get started February 5th with a free open access keynote presentation. That's open access to everyone. So make sure you reserve your seat, and I hope to see everyone at the conference. Bye-bye for now.